Hey, what's going on, you guys? JPB Productions here, and today I'm going to be reviewing episode 9 of Survivor 43. So, damn, this was a really, really good episode. So, I'm just going to hop right into it. It was absolutely phenomenal. So, yeah, I'm going to talk about it. So, they get back from Tribal Council, and immediately James and Owen start fighting. And James, at the end of the fight, said cool beans after Owen was like, I don't want to talk to you right now. I'm angry. I don't want to have anything to do with it. And that was already kind of entertaining on its own, but that was just an appetizer for what was to come. Like, that was just. That was nowhere near the extent of the severity of the next fight. So that was already entertaining on its own, but this was just the beginning. It was about to get way better. So right after that, everyone goes into the challenge, and there's the 5 red beams and the 5 blue beams. So you know that it's going to be the final 10 twist, where all 10 are divided into 2 groups of 5, and they compete in separate individual immunity challenges. One person in each group wins individual immunity, and then both tribes go to tribal council separately, each to vote somebody out. So yeah, this was pretty good twist. It's one of those twists where, yeah, well, it's not a good twist. I honestly think I kind of disagree with it. It's interesting. It's like spices the game up, like it makes the game a little bit less predictable. But the only reason really why they do this is for episode reasons, where like they don't need to have, as CBS doesn't need to give them as many episodes if they do this whenever they have double boots, and this is like a better way to do it, to like fit the storyline in it, rather than having 2 rounds put into one episode, which is something they've done many times that I don't think Survivor's particularly fond of. So that's why this twist exists. I'm okay with it being a part of the game, but the game would feel a little bit more pure if it wasn't a thing. So that's kind of like my take on it. So like as for this twist and how they did it this time around, the last person amongst both groups wins for their group reward. And I like this because if you are the last one left standing for your group, and there's still 2 or 3 people from the other group still standing, it gives you an incentive to keep going. So like you just throw the challenge and just step out immediately if that wasn't what you wanted to do. So you could just step out of if there was no reward, you would just step out of the challenge if you've already won immunity. So I like that they do this. Yeah. So yeah, the challenge is going on, and Carla wins immunity first, and she drops out, and immediately James is like, "Woohoo!" So he like stands up, and he's like so excited for her, and just the way that the editors portrayed that, I kind of assumed that James was gonna go home, because I'm like, why are they making James like look like this in the way they did? So I kind of assumed James was gonna go home. But what we kind of saw, and like this is kind of a testament to Carla's really good social game. Right after the immunity challenge is over and Carla wins immunity, everyone's like super happy for her. Like they don't have immunity. Carla has immunity, and yeah, sure, maybe the excitement was just because she was nobody's target. But even then, that means that she's doing something right. It means that people actively trust her. She's many people's number ones. It means that she's doing something correct. So I give her immense credit for that people don't want her to go home. It's one of the main goals of Survivor. You don't want to get targeted by any party from any direction. So I think that she's doing that part of the game very, very well. So I give her immense credit. I think she's doing a very good job. And also Cody won immunity. Happy for him. He got second place in 2 challenges before this, so I'm happy that he like finally got that necklace, and he seemed very excited. So yeah, Cody and Carla won the necklaces. Cody's group wins reward, and one of the groups goes to a separate tribe. We go to, or like a tribe camp, and then we go to a commercial break, and then the rest of the episode continues. So at this point in time, right after the commercial break, we get a private fight between James and Owen, where they're basically just like bickering and arguing over who did something worse, whether it's Owen writing James's name down, or James leaving Owen out of the vote. And they were just bickering and bickering over who did a worst sin. They were trying to convince the other person that person, what they did, was worse. It was so funny. It was absolutely hilarious. Amazing, amazing television. And And you even have like Owen just kind of smirking there, like, well, we're not going to agree on anything. We're obviously going to vote for each other. So why am I even talking to you? So he's just kind of like that. It was just kind of like that type of smirk where he's like, well, we're going to vote for each other. We want each other gone. So why am I talking to you? This is a waste of time. So then I thought that was it. I honestly thought that was it. And then they pull into camp in front of the other three, Noelle, Sammy, and Carla, and they just start fighting right in front of everyone. And then you just have Noelle turning around like, I don't want to have anything to do with this, but I'm really, really happy that they're bickering because I'm vulnerable tonight. But I could be very safe because it seems like it's going to be one of them because they're going to target each other, and the emphasis is completely off of me. So it was very, very funny how Noelle was reacting to that. And then she's like, anybody want a papaya? And then for like half a second, James like glances over and considers it, and then he's like, and then he just like continues to fight. Phenomenal television. I loved every second of this. Rivalries are fun. Like this is human behavior, natural, non-scripted human behavior, and it's super fun to watch. So I was very, very happy to see this. It was hilarious. When Survivor a lot of the time is at its best when it's just funny, and fun a lot of the time. Humor and comedy leads to entertainment, and I think we kind of saw that here. So it was great TV. It was very exciting to watch. So I'll talk a little bit about the strategy on this camp. So basically, Noelle had pulled off this really, really cool, never before seen move. I thought it was really, really cool. I thought I either saw it all or at least thought of it all for all like the different strategies that you could implement within the game that we have seen prior, as well as what we haven't seen. But Noelle did something very, very unique. It was something that like the coolness of the move kind of deducted because Sammy told Carla last minute. So James just ended up going home unanimously, but it was still a very, very cool concept and idea. And what it basically was Noelle went to, who'd she go to? She went to Owen and Noelle went to Owen and Sammy. Yeah. She went to Owen and Sammy and she said, okay, okay, Noelle, I'm going to steal, Noelle says, to Owen, I'm going to steal your vote. I'm going to tell James that I'm going to do this. That way, James doesn't use his knowledge as power. I'm going to tell James that I'm 100% with him. But in order to play it safe, I'm not sure if we have Sammy on board, so maybe I'll just use my steal a vote just as safety, because the steal a vote's going to have more power than it ever will right now. I'm going to steal Owen's vote, and we're going to take Owen out. But in reality, Owen, I am going to steal your vote, and then me and Sammy, I have 2 votes, Sammy has 1 vote. We're just going to put our 3 votes on James, and we're going to send him home. Very, very cool move. There is like a bit of a small part of me that thinks maybe Noelle was overthinking a little bit, but it was still really random and cool. Like it was cool to see something new happen within the game. So I was happy to see this. So yeah, James was totally fooled. Tribal Council hits. I'll talk about the other group and like all the strategy that went behind their vote to send Ryan home after, but I'll talk about the James vote first. So at Tribal Council, James seemed very, very confident. Huge mistake. You should never feel super confident within the game. It never ends well. You should always have your guard up to a high degree, especially when there's only 4 options of who can go home. But I feel like James felt like he did what he should do in this situation. It ended up not being enough, but he thought that he did enough. But he didn't use the knowledge as power, and maybe he wanted to steal an idol at some point later down the road when he actually felt like he needed it. Which is why there was some kind of incentive for him not to use it. So Noelle put up her acting skills well, and Owen, he had his vote stolen, and he didn't do a great job at acting, but it ended up working out just fine. Apparently, after Noelle used the steal a vote, James could have stolen the steal a vote midway through Noelle talking. So, yeah, James made a mistake. He did. And he was probably really kicking himself after. He seemed really mad on the jury bench, and I don't blame him. So he had to have been pissed, absolutely, because he could have prevented this in many ways. But yeah, he's on jury now, and I don't think he was super pleased with that happening. So yeah, James ends up going home, and we go right to the next group. So I'll talk a little bit about them. So immediately after the challenge, Cody had immunity. Immediately, he just pulls Jesse aside and says, okay, what are we going to do? Gabler's a straight shooter. He's cool. He's calm. He's collective. Um, he's probably a shield too. You know, he pulled off that Ellie move. He won individual immunity. He's relevant. And I think that they thought that he was, you know, a legitimate threat within the game. But I think that he's someone that they thought was a shield that wouldn't win every challenge and that would likely go home eventually, and someone that's an ally for them. You know, like, they voted Ryan out over Cassidy here, but I think personally maybe they should have voted Cassidy out, to be honest. I mean, I'm not on the island, so I shouldn't be assuming anything. But I honestly kind of thought that Cassidy seemed a little bit fake when talking to Cody and Jesse. She's just kind of like, I like you guys. I really want to work with you guys. And then at Tribal Council, she's like, Cody's like a island monkey or whatever she was saying. I think that she was just kind of playing all this up to make herself seem likable and trustworthy to Cody as well as Jesse. And I kind of saw right through it, whereas Ryan wasn't really doing anything. Like, if you just kind of, like, he didn't really have people. He was really easy vote. He was probably willing to work with anybody, but he also wasn't playing the game enough to work with anybody. I just didn't particularly think Ryan was that much of a threat in the game. You know, you can vote him out because he's a physical threat. You can leave him in as a great shield because people kind of wanted him out anyways. Or if you're willing to take the risk, take him to the end because he's not going to win. So I didn't particularly think voting Ryan out over Cassidy was particularly a good move. I also think Cassidy's like the winner now. Like, she got all that emotional content before the Tribal Council, which there was like a small part of me that thought, oh, maybe this is because she's going to go home, but I didn't think so. I still kind of thought, based off of the edit, even though I think it was a wrong move, Ryan was probably going to go home. I think James and Ryan both seemed like really obvious votes to me. I was on a call with some like fandom people, just Survivor fans that I'm friends with right before I watched the episode. They had watched it live. I didn't. I watched it later on. I basically said, yeah, it's going to be James and Ryan going home in this double boot episode. That's exactly what happened. I thought based off of the edit, it felt kind of obvious to me that it was going to be those two that were going to go home, and that's exactly what happened. But I still kind of thought voting Cassidy out over Ryan was the right move. You know, Gabler was someone who at the final 11 I thought was like a lot easier of a vote, but like I understand kind of now why he wasn't even targeted in any way. You know, they think he's a legitimate straight shooter, and he felt like a little bit more of one of those easy vote options at final 11 because he was a little bit more relevant and stood out in many ways within the game. But if Jesse has two idols and Cody has individual immunity, and they have all this power, then why wouldn't they capitalize it by doing whatever the hell they want? So I think that Cody and Jesse both played really well in this episode, even though I don't know particularly if they made the right move. But I'm also not on the island, so it's kind of hard for me to know for sure. But I personally thought that they made the wrong move. I thought that they should have voted Cassidy out over Ryan. Cassidy can now go reconnect with Carla. She's someone who is going to be a little bit more underestimated within the game. She's someone who has made Cody and Jesse feel like they can trust her, but she has better avenues. So I wasn't particularly sure if this was the right move, but I give Cassidy immense credit for being able to convince Cody and Jesse to keep her in. So as of right now, upon filming this video, I've already seen the final 8 episodes. I'm obviously not going to make any predictions. Yeah, with that being said, it was a phenomenal episode. My favorite of the season so far. It was really, really fun to watch. I enjoyed every second of it. And, yeah, I don't know if there's anything particularly that I'd like to add. Yeah, this is probably the most mad James has ever been. James getting voted out, that's the most mad I've ever seen someone get voted out since the Michaela boot in Millennials vs. Gen X, or maybe the Natalia boot in Dave vs. Goliath, although I still think James was more mad than Natalia. But I think that's maybe a little bit closer. But yeah, based off of external perception, I think that James was like probably the most mad since Natalia got voted out. So yeah, with that being said, that's everything I have for this episode. I really, really enjoyed this episode. Yeah, with that being said, I'm JPP Productions. Thank you for watching. See you next time.